Thank you very much, otherwise. I wanted to drop this very quickly. Is everybody home?
Everybody ready? Yeah.
Remember what we saw with Brother Bush and his father Bush and Big Bush and Baby Bush? Well, you're paying attention to movies, you will see that the game is being played even in outer space. How many saw Mission to Mars? Watch the grip, it's determined and definite. The Masonic order is even in outer space. That's who's writing your script. Everything you do from day to day is structured around a pre-organized script that you believe to be your reality. It's the Matrix. How many times you heard that? Too many times. But how many actually work to countermand and contradict this? They tell you every day in their stories, and Sister Puma is a storyteller, and she would tell me that the stories are exactly what we play out in our everyday lives, so that when the elders and the ancestors would talk the stories around the campfire in the circles, they would be speaking about the dream time. That is what the myth is. The myth is the story of the spirit's journey through the flesh. So when you speak myth, you are repeating the story that the spirit has told of its journey through the corporeal form. So every day they're giving you hints as to what they're getting ready to do. You are not paying attention because they have you distracted constantly. So what happens? You miss it.
Next week there'll be 100 more all over the world.
Sounds great, Chairman.
How about who's behind this? That's a question, Bill. Oh, I know. We must respond. That's an excellent idea, Senator. How we do that? They are blowing the shit out of it. And find out.
Look, I am going to be escalated with your thoughts and fears of next.
How about Senator?
National Guard is the fire control center, not the county.
The Army man out there.
It's established legal doctrine plus competent environment may not be turned into our own.
Even if that's what our own people are asking for freedom.
Did you hear that? Let me run that back to you. You're not listening to the actual dialogue that the Masons are giving to you. And they're telling you in story form what they're getting ready to do. Now, do you hear what they said about the National Guard? Why are they at the airports now?
Look, I am going to be escalated with your thoughts and fears of next.
How about Senator?
National Guard is the fire control center, not the county.
The Army man out there.
It's established legal doctrine plus competent environment may not be turned into our own.
Even if that's what our own people are asking for freedom.
President Lincoln declared martial law in 1862. Suspended atheist call.
Which the Supreme Court later found unconstitutional.
Hold on now. They just told you they can't get any higher than that, brother. It's one of those TVs.
How about Senator?
Listen carefully.
National Guard is the fire control center, not the county.
The Army man out there.
It's established legal doctrine plus competent environment may not be turned into our own.
Even if that's what our own people are asking for freedom.
President Lincoln declared martial law in 1862. Suspended atheist call.
Which the Supreme Court later found unconstitutional.
The Supreme Court found it unconstitutional, but it was never rescinded. You have always been to this day under martial law since the Civil War. And when Lincoln told them to write up the 13th Amendment, and this is why I'm saying to you, brothers and sisters, get 13 and befriend it. The harmonic vibrations of the number 13 are very important at this time. The 13th Amendment had 20 articles, not 2. They only gave you 2. The other 18, again, 18, the number, the other 18 gave provisions for the peoples of Africa and Moorish descent to reclaim their heritage and their birthright. It was then, at that time, that England attacked Washington, D.C. and burned it. To stop that, the person who killed Lincoln was an agent for the British. Because remember, since the Revolutionary War, you have been in bankruptcy. From 1789, count 1789, when we owed the first $2 million to the King of England, who was also the King of France at the same time. 70 years, a nation stays in bankruptcy for 70 years before they restructure the debt. You count 1789 all the way up, you see it hits 1931, when they restructured the debt, took the gold, gave you a Social Security number. Understand and overstand that you have been chattel. Even the Constitution as it now is formed, only the 7 first articles belong to us. Because the Moors wrote the first 7 articles of the Constitution. What came after that is based upon the so-called United Snakes that existed even before the Revolutionary War. You have been slaves. And you cannot go into court and ask for your constitutional rights because the Constitution was never put to a vote before the people. You are not a part of that once you have a number. They say that God names his children and the devil numbers him. Until you get back your name, you are essentially at the mercy of your straw man. Your straw man is the creature that was created at the time the mother signs that birth certificate. The mother becomes the informant that turns evidence against the child for the state. The mother gives a description of the property that she is offering up. And at that point, what is created is a straw man through which an artificial entity like the state can move, because they can't move against you being a pure God creature, a man. A mankind and a human, a black, a Negro, an African American doesn't exist. You are either man or of man, or you are a beast. Because if you look up the definition of the word human being, next to it, it says monster. So understand that you are still a slave, and that you cannot ask for reparations as a slave. You can only ask for reparations or what is due to you when you stand in your proper person on the square and demand of that creature that was created, that artificial entity, that spawn of Yaakov, yours and what belongs to you. But you can't do it with the name that was given to you. You can't call yourself an African American. You can't call yourself black. All these are pseudonyms for a slave. And who gave you the name black? Who called you black? Can you remember who gave the title? Who told us to call ourselves black? Who? Who? No. I'm talking about recently because we went from Negro, remember?
James Brown.
But you remember that James Brown says what? Sing the song. Right. He makes you say it, but not once throughout the song does he say it? Listen to the song. Say it loud! One more time. Say it loud! That nigga never said it. What's missing is analysis. When you look at your movies.
President's plane lands in 2 hours, and we owe it to him to have consensus. You don't find a junkyard dog with ASPCA group. What you do is you take the leash off your own pig of meat and color.
You know, the Army's a war soldier of stone. You do not want the Army in the American city.
But hypothetically, how long would it take you to deploy?
You know we can't go with the President for most of 1 hour.
I understand that, General. Let's assume for a moment the order has been given.
12 hours after the President gave the order, we can be on the ground. 1 light infantry division of 10,700 men. Elements of the Rapid Deployment Force, Special Forces, Delta. APCs, helicopters, tanks. And of course the ubiquitous M16A1 assault rifle. Humbling up weapon until you see it in the hands of a man outside your local polling unit on your 7-Eleven. Scared. Not a mistake where we end up paraded.
You, General Monroe, does not speak official Army policy. Police function has become accepted as our role in Haiti, Somalia.
We'll see. We will hunt down the enemy, find it, and we will kill it. No card-carrying member of the ACLU before the dead set gets to die. That's why I urge you. Do not consider this as action.
Just precedence for the sake. That's exactly why you're the only man for the job.
I'd like to introduce him to my A-Sector program. His team was able to take out the first cell within 36 hours. Exactly 87 bucks. He's also going to take out the terrorists in the next 2 months.
Job of the FBI. Wow. Job of the Army. Defense. The presence of the Army, our ability to investigate will be seriously inhibited. It will push these criminals further underground. Most importantly, we can't fight a war against an enemy we can't see. I think if we exercise patience and strength, allow our men and women up in New York to do their job, it will be effective.
Thank you, Agent Hubbard. I think that we should proceed with caution. Some of you may not know Sharon Bridger. Sharon was posted in Iraq as part of our covert operations. Sharon?
She fell in love with an Iraqi man in order to go into deep cover.
I'm sure everyone here knows the traditional model of the terrorist network. One cell controls all others. Cut off the head, the body will wither. Unfortunately, the old wisdom no longer applies. The paradigm is each cell operates independently. Cut off one head, another rises up in its place. Thus, 87 was the work of the first cell, whose remaining elements we believe the FBI took down. This then activated the work of cell 2. With the other gallery. At the most, we believe there are 3, possibly 4 cells.
Well, then how much longer before we can take out the last cell?
Don't know.
Familiar?
This is the tragedy of staggering. One federal boss was the headquarters of the FBI counterterrorism task
Look.
force.
What that look like?
World Trade situation. They have a plane and a truck.
They telling you exactly, practice makes perfect. They conditioned you for this so that you would accept it. Remember, they told you who did it. They already told you terrorists are at work here, but they don't tell you the CIA trained them. And that the New World Order is actually using these cells that they created in order to stir up the masses to become more docile, to look for more protection, to ask the government to help me to rid ourselves of this cancer that has grown up amongst us when they seeded the cancer themselves. This is the game that is being played, and if we don't understand how the game is played, we will constantly be given clues, and we won't know what to do with them. Now, to put down some more information for you to go and study on the tape. Before we proceed with the mathematics and the metaphysics, once again, I would like to ask everyone gathered here, have you been noticing a rush to vaccinate everyone lately? Especially our children. Have you noticed as well how many people are suddenly suffering with flu-like sicknesses 1 month after the bombing? Could it be that one day after the attack when the FAA grounded all commercial flights, that it would have been strange to look up in the air and find chemtrails? Remember, the government has always claimed that chemtrails were caused by commercial flights and were not, repeat, not a military operation. How does the government explain the sightings of chemtrails virtually hours after the state of emergency no-fly order from the government? Again, chemtrails are military biowarfare operations with the specific tasks of dumping and saturating target populations with genetically engineered bacteria and viruses, quote unquote, for the purpose of undermining the human defense or immune system by successive degrees. Now, I'm not a proponent of anything called the immune system. I'm not a proponent of anything called virus causing anything. What I am understanding, though, is that you can saturate the air, which is the most necessary component of the elements that we need. You can shut down eating for at least 40 days. You can shut down drinking for at least 7 days, but shut breathing down for 5 minutes. When you attack all 4 of the elements, and you begin to pollute the biosphere that we as humans need to incorporate within our being, so that we can transmute the new materials that our solar system is feeding to us. Up at the Melanin Conference, I spoke to the fact that a few months back, there were 3 distinct events that the Caucasoid creature was proud to announce. One, they found in the Milky Way, in the present position as we hurtle through it, because remember, Sopedet is the center of our solar system, of our true solar system, and we circle, our solar system circles around the central core galaxy called Sopedet, which is what you know as Sirius. Sopedet is the real name, the ancient Kemite name. We are moving in a Proximus with the central core information dispenser that is giving us a whole new paradigm by which to operate our reality with. To circumvent that, you have to destroy the 4 properties, the WORD, the air, fire, water, and earth, that must be transmuted through thought, word, and deed in this vessel. Pollute these 4 instruments of our transmutation, and you pervert and mutate the process. Chemtrails have 2 distinct properties. There is a microfiber that, as it hits the oxygen, curves into a helical or a cylindrical form. And whatever is within that cylinder is trapped and floats to the earth. It spreads out first as a cloud and then becomes saturated in the atmosphere and then falls to the earth. You don't know that these microfilaments are attached to you and that you breathe them in. They are saturating the atmosphere with 5 and 10 different types of bacillus that they have mutated in the laboratory. They can't get you with one pass. So it's a constant saturation of your atmosphere. You are being acclimated towards a mutational process. There's 2 different types of mutation. There is cosmic mutation that's based upon your body changing towards the dictates that the star system is dictating to you, so that you are now in tune with the Merkaba program. Then there is an artificial mutation that can circumvent that reality by creating anomalies in your system so that your body becomes so numb it doesn't pick up the signals necessary to trigger your atomic structure. So now you become a prisoner in light code lockdown, where the 7 bands of white light become your prison bars. You are trapped within white light perception, and you can't get out into the other 200 and something odd bands of light spectrum that has information that changes your DNA, not even your DNA. It changes the atomic structure to obey a whole new design structure for the body. The body you have now can't make it in the new atmosphere. It's like trying to put a Model T down with a Ferrari and ask them to drag it. The body you must now create has to come from the materials that is now out there. What was the first announcement? The first announcement was they found black matter melanin floating in the Milky Way. They took a spectroscopic analysis of this black matter and found it had organic properties. This is the abode of your ancestors. This is the portal through which we go to other dimensions. Another metaphysical fact. There are 12 of us, each in this room. For each one body, there are 12 variations, 12 harmonics to your reality. As you dream, you visit the others. And as they dream, they visit you. Within that 12 spectrum dynamic in the hologram, you are now part of an upward movement towards another density that all 12 of your realities are now witnessing to. If you don't pull your shit up, you create a lag time in the continuum. And then the densities, which is supposed to actually evolve to the other densities, thus taking the material from the third density up to the next one as fuel to jettison into the next one. So that we then bring it back to the null zone. There should be nothing left of this as we transit it. We should convert all of this. This is why you came down in the flesh, to convert matter into spiritual substance. By your deeds and your thoughts, do you either keep it in the present structure, or you change the molecular and atomic alignment by your behavior and your thoughts. This is why it is necessary for those who are trapped here for good to maintain you as a food source. To piggyback your dynamic to get the fuck out of here, because they can't. Their particular body structure cannot encompass the frequency dynamic necessary to switch. They can do it artificially, they can do it mechanically, but they can't do it organically. The children being born today, don't fuck with them. They are coming back changing. And if you ain't teaching them how to do it, you will end up in the scrap heap where they're putting all this shit. The children of today are off the chart with intelligence. Do not put them in school. Now I said, oh goddamn, Brother Valentine. No! your children out of that mind-fuck institution called school. How do you expect your seed to go to school and come back your child? That's a contradiction in terms. That shit is Orwellian just to start me. I can't fathom how you are worried about your children. What's wrong with these children today? Nothing! Nothing is wrong with them. It's us. We crazy. And they know it. You see, our children are the genius time. This is the visitation of the genius time. Our children can carry on a conversation. They may wear their pants below their asses. Pretending you to kiss it. But I get deep respect when I walk amongst my young. Because I claim them all. I claim them all. Because if I don't, somebody else will. Right. You see what I'm saying? Because it is necessary for us to go back and get our children.
Thank you.
If our children do not know what to do for the next time, your seed lineage dies. If you are not raising up a metaphysical soldier, you are raising up a predator who will predate you. Or who will go across the seas to do the bidding mindlessly of a satanic fuck sitting in that White House. You can go to your internet site, get Microsoft Word, like Brother Dick Gregory said. Punch up in all capital block Q33NYC, and you will get what are called, what are those names again? What are they called? Wingdings. Now what the fuck is a wingding? It is a code. A code system. You punch up Q33NYC and you get an airplane, 2 sheets that look like a building, skull and crossbones, the so-called Dark Star of David, and a thumbs up. That shit blew my mind when I saw it. But look at the last 4 wingdings, and you will see that the glyphs appear to represent some of the worst symbols of evil, repression, and control, especially for black peoples. W, X, Y, and Z. The W was one of the original stolen symbols of the Roman state church. It's the cross with the circle in it. Can't find my material here now because in a rush I must have left it. It's the cross with the circle around it, which is essentially actually the symbol of the fixed points of the zodiac that the Christian church took and used for their symbol Jesus Christ. But it's the Roman church symbol now. The second one, which is X, is the Iron Cross of the Nazis. The Y is the ancient symbol, again stolen by the Zionists, with the as above, so below. And then the last one is the Islamic, the Arabic, which has the star and the crescent turned in the opposite direction. Look again, punch up wingdings, and look at W, X, Y, and Z. And you will see the last 4 of those letters. So Q33NYC as a viable clue, what does any one of the two semi-functioning brain cells that we have actually tell us? Well, here's what I found out. The first time the WTC was bombed, I remember the story that filtered out about the stupidity of the terrorist involved who rented one of the vans in his own name. It also came to light that some of those accused were not even in the country at the time they were supposed to have allegedly perpetrated the deed. But the most striking news was the story that was told by the accused of a semi-blonde woman who orchestrated the event using them to rent the trucks and carry on through or out the assignment. This woman had since disappeared, but surveillance took a picture of her, which was later identified by the FBI as an Israeli intelligence operative, a member of the Mossad. Fast forward at least 10 years. The WTC gets hit again in the midst of a devastating public relations nightmare where the Israeli government is seen as a fascist, colonizing, racist army. Their no-show at the Durban Conference on Racism, internal pressure from Jews who were walking locked arm in arm like Martin Luther King with Palestinians. They didn't let that shit come into the United States. You know about that? Oh, they showed it on CNN, on one of them alt channels. Jews and Arabs walking hand in hand to change the shit. Israel was up for grabs at that point. Item, given the state of affairs in Israel, when the planes hit, their government hurried up and tried to capitalize on it by publicly decrying the deaths of over 4,000 Israelis known to have worked at the Twin Towers. Then suddenly, no one else on BBC or CNN, international news, mentioned another word about this announcement, this tear-filled particular event that was staged by the Israeli government. When it became known that, lo and behold, not one of these bastards showed up for work on that fateful day. An Arab newspaper called Al Watan, published in Oman, reported that those Israelis stayed home from work based on hints given to them by the Shabak, the Israeli General Security Apparatus. More suspicions were raised after the Israeli newspaper Yaduit Ahranot, I ain't Jewish, Y-A-D-I-O-T A-H-R-A-N-O-T, reported that Ariel Sharon was prevented from going to New York by the Shabak, where he was to participate in a festival organized by a Zionist organization. Again, the Israeli newspaper Haaretz revealed that the FBI arrested 5 Israelis 4 hours after the attack on the towers for filming the scene of homage from the roof of their company's building. The FBI had arrested the 5 for what they reported as quote-unquote puzzling behavior. It appears that the FBI caught them videotaping the disaster with loud cries of joy, elation, and mockery. Item. On September 22nd, U.S. military intelligence sources revealed the details of an internal intelligence memo that fingered the Mossad as being linked to the WTC and Pentagon attacks. The source confirmed that the memo revealed certain covert Israeli preparations on U.S. soil to turn mass public attention against Palestinian Arabs via an apparent terrorist attack on U.S. interests that would give Israel the green light to implement massive military onslaughts against the Palestinian population. You notice there's been a blackout. The 9/11 attack has been described by experts as being too sophisticated for one terrorist group to execute. This attack required a high level of military precision and resources of an advanced military intelligence agency. In addition, the attackers would have had to have been familiar with both Air Force One flight operations, civil airline flight paths, and aerial assault tactics on sensitive U.S. cities like Washington, D.C., says David Stern, who is an expert on Israeli intelligence operations. The attacks targeted the Pentagon and the World Trade Center towers, with the White House and Air Force One being also targets. These attacks came suspiciously after 11 months of Palestinian uprising. Heavy criticism over Israeli war crime atrocities and racism by the UN conference in Berlin. But check this. This info is given serious credibility and heavyweight in light of the fact that 4,000 Israelis didn't show up for work on the day of those attacks, which suggests that they were told not to. Better still, Israeli Foreign Minister Nahum Katz said that since the initial 4,000 requests filed with the ministry and the Israeli consulate in New York, the number of people feared dead had been dropping drastically. And now only about 50 people are actually unaccounted for. If this information is verified, then the news of Israeli involvement in 9/11 will become of no surprise to intelligence experts. The State of Israel has a long history of covert operations against Western targets, with attacks on the King David Hotel, the Berlin disco bombing, the U.S. Liberty, the murder of a Scandinavian UN envoy, as well as espionage against the U.S. with the Jonathan Pollard case. And let's not forget what they might have been doing in the first WTC bombing. By the way, one of the Israeli men arrested by the FBI on the roofs adjacent to the tower was a Mossad officer. And get this, the Mossad is the only system that has full access all over U.S. territories without any question. The Mossad is the #1 spy system in the world that people go to for ID forgery. It would also appear that those on the frequency, that the ominous specter of bin Laden had been built up over the years to give credibility to the stories of a Palestinian motive for the attack. No one in their right minds would believe that poverty-stricken, raggedy-ass Palestinians would possess the sophisticated resources to pull off a stunt like this. So bin Laden became the rich, terrorist-minded, stand-in spokesman for a downtrodden people. I tell you this, brothers and sisters, this whole thing stinks with a spoon. 9/11 again, the metaphysics of it all is too blatant to be ignored. Let's begin with the fact that Israel became a nation 9/11/48. It's also interesting to note the following, as you've no doubt done or have done some of your mathematics on 9/11. The Twin Tower symbols were 11. Flight 11 was one hit the tower first. New York was the 11th state to be added to the Union. 119 is the area code for Iran and Iraq. Flight 11 said to have had 92 aboard, which equals 11. There are 254 days from January 1st to September 11th. 2 plus 5 plus 4 equals 11. The remaining days of the year from September 11th to December 31st is 111. Now, we come to the part of our gathering where we measure and track the swing of the cosmic pendulum. The time is running soon that the messianic frequencies will be visited with much more intensity. Our Olmec Mayan ancestors predicted the time of the coming of the 13th harmonic, which when struck will affect the 33rd ridge of the spinal column, causing the blood to change its resonance. It will put you into a psychic field that will be shared by other beings both on this earth and our central core mother galaxy, Sokadet. If you are resonating lower thought processes in your psychic field, you will experience a kind of psychic nausea, a time reference displacement that will strike a dissonant chord in your blood crystal, and people with higher frequency rates will unconsciously be reviled by you. If you harbor jealousy, envy, anger, malicious intent, selfishness, greed, etc., you will affect people as if you had a foul odor. This will be your soma body being extracted or extricated to the surface for its elimination. The moment of our planet, or the movement of our planet, into a new, old proximity with Sokadet will signal the strike of the 13th force. This is precisely why the Illuminati, who have stolen the archives of our ancestors, have copied us in their preparation for the 13th envelope. But their surface rituals are of no durational substance because they do not possess the matrix necessary to ground the total spectrum of frequencies. Only a few tones that they do not possess the dark matter blueprint, the corporeal Merkaba, melody. But based on the correct application of number as orienter, a sufficient alignment of harmonic energies can be taken advantage of. So what follows is an example of how the Illuminati creates operational Merkabas, many operational Merkabas of power to sustain control dynamics through establishing our cage-based life. As we do this, last shot. Tell me that this just happened to collapse. Forensics showed that this was blown. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an old symbol here. It's a symbol called the tower. I couldn't get it very good, but these are people falling down the same way you saw it. This is the lightning striking it and the crown being kicked off. Hang on, I want to show you something. Good. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your water.
Regular tap water.
Remember the brother brought me regular tap water?
Yeah.
That is called a precipitator. It advances the micromolecules until they coagulate together. And you see them, the water, for what it really is. This was the tap water. This is what you are drinking and bathing in. It will be up here for your perusal. If you try to do this with distilled water, only a yellow film will show up. This also happens with your spring water. You get a chance when it cools down, you go ahead and take a look at it. Now, what does it say about the tower? Listen carefully. Brother Hamza, that's another code breaker from down in Washington, D.C. He's the one who tapped into the finger, the alien. Brother Zamor, and he's serious code breaker. Sometimes when accepted and welcomed, divine wisdom and enlightenment flow freely like a calm river. The rest of the time, wisdom is blocked until it rages forth like a tidal wave and crushes everything in its path, including the recipient of the wisdom. This is the energy of the tower card, an energy very similar to death, in that it is both a destructive and a creative force. When a building is old and decrepit, it must be demolished so that a new structure may stand in its place. The same is true of the symbolic tower. When old attitudes and beliefs are outdated, as the brother was speaking about the end time, the closure, you will have to go through Whether you like it or not, you'll have to go through. In most cases, the latter is true. You don't want to give up your ideals, and you cling to them like a child to his precious security blanket. That's your flag. This attempt at security ensures nothing, really, except a disastrous change that will painfully rip away that which you did not discard of your own volition. But there is a greater purpose at work here. Power of the soul and the mind is far greater than the energy of some physical thing, and it can be taken with you anywhere and always. To extend the security blanket analogy, the blanket must be taken away so the child can find power and security within itself, instead of within some material object. When you believe material objects are more powerful than spirit and mind, you start building up a tower of falsehoods on a very unstable foundation. If by some miracle of engineering it does not collapse under its own weight, you will eventually push it over yourself. The tower falls not because fate says so, but because something within can no longer endure the strain it must bear. It's on a vortex, people. Sooner or later it will give out. This is a humbling experience because its lesson is that no one is invincible. The problem for most people is that they concentrate on the negatives and ignore the great opportunity that has been given to them. A fire of the tower card burns away all that is negative and outdated, but it leaves behind all that is positive, all that is necessary to begin your life again and replace all that is lost. In essence, this is the energy of death and temperance combined, because sweeping away the building up, sweeping and building up, both happen at about the same time on the tower. As soon as the tumbling figures of the Rider-Waite deck land on the jagged rocks of reality, they are greeted with the influx of wisdom that they need to survive. Woo! And with that wisdom in hand, they can take the first step back to the path of true enlightenment, building a mental tower to heaven rather than a physical one. Now, if you want to switch the trauma that you were participating in, because they will constantly give you the physical tower. The physical tower. The way to survive this and to amplify your higher spiritual nature is to get inside and build the spiritual tower. Spiritual tower is based upon you using the 4 elements to construct a reality game, a reality envelope that takes the raw material of this experience and transmutes it alchemically. Alchemically. Now, why did I ask you for the $13? Because essentially, if you don't start using the magic that you taught to these people, then what happens? You lose it. So, first things first. I'm going to give you some familiar things, and you tell me all that you know about it. Can somebody tell me what they know about this symbol? All seeing eye, capstone on the pyramid. All seeing eye, capstone on the pyramid. Very good. Well, what else? I knew it. Coeptus. Very good. Yes, sir.
13 stone.
Come on. They go to 13.
Acres of land, 13. Acres on both sides.
Yes, sir. See, we have a very high initiative in the crowd that's helping people around. Everybody ever heard of I said, Brother said, hello, everybody give a hand to Brother Nakeem Bey right here. And we deal with circle 7 energies. The shadow itself. You notice that the pyramid is doing something that is unheard of. What is it doing? First of all, the shadow is supposed to be on the backside of it, but not under it. How the hell does the shadow of a pyramid, once it's in the land, have a shadow under it? Because the number 7 is hidden in it. We deal with circle 7.
Break it down, brother.
That is your seal. It is your seal. The dollar, the US dollar, is the only dollar that has 2 separate seals. Two separate songs. One from the original. And what was the song the original sang? Come on now. Come on now. Who the old party people now? What was the name of the song that the originals, the originals from Motown sang? Baby, I'm free. You are the originals. They are the Masons. They are the perpetrators. They are the ones that we grew up. Those are the wayward children. Now, as you're looking, what else do you see in there? You're not looking. You're not looking. It's hidden. It's hidden. I know it's hidden. But I'm going to drop it on you. Order Seclorum. Well, wait a minute. First of all, there's 72 stones, which means the number of God. 72 stones, 13 levels.
Stall David. Stall David for Mason. Lord Mason.
Okay. See, probably snuck my notes.
A reptilian tail.
Oh, well, you talking about the reptilian tail over here?
No, on the left. See the tail? Right there. No, higher up. Right there. No, right there. No, up, right there.
Yeah.
Tail.
Right there.
Reptilian tail.
I love my people.
And the eye, and Phil, the eye is reptilian too.
Okay.
That's the eye.
All right now. But what we wanted to do was to show you this one. I know where to correct this. If you look at the corners, you see the word Novus Ordo Seclorum. You're spelling out the word M-A-S-O-N. Let's show you again. M-A-S-O-N. Check.
Check.
Now, numbers. Y'all missed this.
666.
Roman numerals. The M, which is here, is for Mason, Freemason. The rest of it, D, 500, C, 100 equals what? 600. L is 50, X is 10, 60. V is 5, right? 1, 600, 60, and 6. Right under your nose, brothers and sisters. Giuliani.
At the UN.
Adolf Giuliani. When the Illuminati speaks in high forums, watch their hand motion. Whenever you see this, this is a master mason saying he's in trouble. How many people saw The Rock? The movie The Rock. Check the movie The Rock. What was the name of Sean Connery's character? Mason. When he was ripping hell and he came down the steps to meet the general, how did he come down? Like the master mason. I mean, no, he didn't even do like this. He just did this. Came with the symbols. What The Rock meant. The whole movie The Rock was a Masonic story. All right? You will see him checking the Mason. But here again, your numbers. How many leaves on the branch?
32 on one side, 13 on the other.
13 and 13. How many squares? 33 squares, 33 portals. You are in the web. You are in the Masonic web. They put the specific parts here. Where they put Africa? Outside. They put America here. What is this part here? The core. Where the control is. Circle within the circle. Yes, sir.
In addition, when you turn the tap on the spirit upside down, you get the web around.
Yes, sir.
Some at the same time. So it's kind of like,
Yes, sir. All right. Now, I know you saw this before. Remember this? This was Procter & Gamble. When Procter & Gamble was sued by the Christian church, came out of nowhere. The Christian church kept telling them, they were satanic, they were worshiping the devil. They said, well, this symbol don't mean nothing. This is just curls. It was actually a horn dealing with the Capricorn energy. 13 stars. Procter & Gamble countersued for $66,600. Leading up to it, familiar? The horns. Now, from the Capra species, the horns of the goat go up. Check.
Okay.
But check what your Illuminati does in order to sneak the shit inside of one of their emblems. A ram's horn curls downward. Check. Look how they slicked it in. They superimposed the goat on top of the ram. And did it so slick. Well, you couldn't see it. But what was the deal? What was the inside deal? Who was really manipulating this shit? I'm going to tell you who it was.
Thumbs up.
Him and his mistress. Queen of England. Now, I'm going to drop something on you that may necessarily open up some things. But hold on to this dude's face. What's he doing? What's he doing? The thumbs are up again, the same as Rudy Giuliani. Every time they speak, they will speak this. They are talking to other 33rd degree Masons.
What about Happy Day with Fonzie?
Oh, yeah, right. Right, exactly. 13 stars. The same symbol of masonry. 13 arrows. This was originally hemp. The so-called olive branch was actually hemp until they changed it. 13, but check this. 33 feathers on one wing, 32 on the other. Yes, they have taken everything of ours. Everything. Freemasonry shows you that the Chrysler symbol is Maya. And it's also Heru beheaded. Or Ra. All intermingled. But how they hide this shit is even deeper. I told you the magic numbers that you have to incorporate into your life. But you still don't listen. Nobody's listening. They put it in front of your face. They keep creating what are known as sigils. A sigil is the formation of your organic word into a geometric symbol that constitutes the body of what the intent was in the word. So all you have to do is create a sigil around your intent or the words or your feelings, and it becomes imbued with what you want to see manifest. In essence, you create a child of thought that has no other duties or instructions but to manifest what it is that you impregnated that thought with or that entity with. So I can show you how to create a sigil. But they create sigils in front of you, and you don't really see that the number 13 all of you all have no clue as to understanding that they keep working it on you. Why did I use the number 13 to introduce you to the number 13? Because the number 13 is the harmonic that this whole solar system, universe, galaxy is about to strike. The Illuminati knows this. And they are implementing your magic before you have an understanding of what it is. So everything you do from now on must be based upon 12 and the number that just succeeds it. Hungry anyone? The number 13 is the harmonic for tomorrow. That is everything that they're pushing towards. Now, anybody ever heard of the not only the Shata, but I think it's the Shata, having to do with how to operate land and who should own it? Do you know that you're under the so-called Hebrew system? Are you clear with that? Well, if you're not, let me tell you what's going on that you are not aware of. In the Shata, it states that the definition of a Jew is one who is owned by the Anglo-Saxon and Norman. The Jew is the property of the Anglo-Saxon and the Norman. That is the definition of a Jew. There is a book called the Talmud Unleashed. I brought it in. Unmasked, sorry. You want to get the Talmud Unmasked. What do strict Jews who go through rituals to join organizations like the Mossad, what must they do? Well, they must read the Talmud. In part 2 of the Talmud Unmasked, we read precepts of the Talmud concerning Christians. From what has been shown thus far, it is clear that according to the teaching of the Talmud, Christians are idolaters and hateful to Jews. As a consequence, every Jew who wishes to please God has a duty to observe all the precepts which were given to the fathers of their race when they lived in the Holy Land concerning the idolatrous Gentiles, both those who lived amongst them and those in nearby countries. A Jew is therefore required, what? To avoid Christians? To what? Do all he can to exterminate them.
Say that again, brother.
Do all that he can to exterminate. But then you don't believe it. So, what must we do with that little bit of information? Okay. Let me find more pieces. If we do not get to know who the enemy is and everything about him, remember, this is the bastard. He was there to announce the Human Genome Project. Remember I told you there were 3 announcements. There was the discovery of black matter melanin in outer space, and then a month or so after that, the announcement of the Human Genome Project by him and Clinton. And then third, the announcement of a new 10-dimensional superstring hyperspace theory. Did anybody ever hear about that? Let me say that again. Einstein, the high priest of metaphysics, only dealt with E equals mc squared, which was the highest that the Caucasoid without melanin could actually ascribe to physically. E equals mc squared dealt with the 4th dimension. Now, with the discovery of black matter melanin with organic properties that they claim match the same organic properties that you have here on Earth, having the intelligence to form, depending on the stimulus, the specific kinds of lights that were shooting through or into that. As a matter of fact, they shot a light up into the black matter and it began to respond organically, as if somebody had damaged it. With the discovery of the black matter, with the announcement of the Human Genome Project, immediately after that came the 10-dimensional superstring theory. As if he now extends the envelope of his new horizon, his new conquest horizons, to colonize 6 dimensions beyond what his predecessor gave him. So he's now the 10-dimensional superstring hyperspace theory, where now he can go beyond the borders of the 4th dimension to start tapping into your shit. Now, if he goes up there and discovers melanin in outer space, the first thing he's going to do is patent it. What happens when he patents melanin? Just because you got it don't mean you own it. Your glasses, your sunglasses, all with melanin. The new skin creams that they got, melanin. The new drinks, health drinks for white people that you can't get in the black communities, melanin. Everything is laced with melanin now. Because he's going to try to get into the envelope that you have in order to get the fuck out. He can't.
But the melanin is aggressive towards light and whiteness, don't feel?
Uh-huh.
He became aggressive towards the light and the whiteness. He behaved in a very different way.
Yes, sir.
That's why he became afraid of it. He backed off. He finally figured something out with the program.
Uh-huh. What does it say? Christians must be avoided. Jews are required to avoid all contact with Christians for 4 reasons. Because they are not worthy to share in the Jewish way of life. 2, because they are unclean. 3, because they are idolaters. And 4, because they are murderers. They're right in all cases. Now you know the only people that were actually practicing quote-unquote circumcision was the Chemites, who taught the world what that meant. The Chemites practiced that as well as the women, in order to circumvent what happened to them at least 125,000 years ago when another nuclear war was on. It began to change the properties and the molecular alignment of the Merkaba that we had as the template for our human construct. And what happened at that point was we began to bleed past the balance, the polarity balances that the body automatically struck when it chose the different temples it came into. So now when the body is being formed, the penis would form, and then it would overshoot the template marker, and the prepuce would form. And then when the female was forming, it would overshoot the template marker and create a vestigial penis. And the ancestors knew that that was not what was real to our reality at that point. So they began to do things in the time that they had with the things that they did and they had in order to circumvent that, to bring them back to their normality. Why would somebody of a high race like this, mapping the skies, dealing with electromagnetics and electrodynamics, being pyramids, do those little acts like that and create a sacred ceremony around it, unless it was very important? And now we got the devil going around the earth telling black people what not to do, not to circumvent, not to do these things. Black people today, or people of color today, or let me even call that, we are the Melanite youth. We of the Syrian ancestry. We are doing things to maintain the specific dynamic. We are trying to maintain balance with what we do. Every little act that we do right now is to try to keep within the dance of life, because this bastard is all about the dance of death. Christians are to be avoided because they are evil. There is nothing that Jews are more convinced of than the harm which Christians can do to the children of Israel. Because of this, the rulers of the chosen people have always instructed them not to accept any help from Christians, who will always resort to murder and other crimes whenever they cannot otherwise obtain their evil ends. Thus a Jew must not employ a Christian as a nurse or as a teacher for his children, or as a doctor or barber or obstetrician. Do you realize what is happening here? That you cannot find a school where you're teaching, black people are teaching Jewish children, but all throughout your system, right, you got the Jews teaching yours. Right. So what are they going to teach your Christianized children? When this is there. But here's the fun part. Maybe we're now seeing a reason for September 11th and all the glee and all the joy on the buildings before those people were arrested. Christians must be exterminated. The followers of that man, you know who that is, whose name is taken by the Jews to mean, may his name and memory be blotted out, are not otherwise to be regarded than as people whom it would be good to get rid of. They are called Romans and tyrants, who hold captive the children of Israel, and by their destruction the Jews will be freed from this fourth captivity. What are they talking about? Every Jew is therefore bound to do all he can to destroy an impious kingdom of the Edomites, Rome, which rule the whole world. Since, however, it is not always and everywhere possible to effect this extermination of Christians, the Talmud orders that they should be attacked, at least indirectly, namely by injuring them in every possible way and by lessening their power, help towards their ultimate destruction. Whenever it is possible, a Jew should kill Christians without mercy.
Break it down.
I didn't write this. Trust me. I didn't write it. Don't call me back. I'm going to have somebody call me back, some Christian, quoting the Bible, telling me they got Jewish friends. Next line. Harm must be done to Christians. A Jew is commanded, listen Christians whenever he can, both indirectly by not helping them in any way, and also directly by wrecking their plans and projects. Neither must he save a Christian who is in danger of death. Those who do good to Akum will not rise from the dead. He's right. All things pertaining to the Goyim are like a desert. The first person to come along and take them can claim them for his own. Christians must not be told if they pay too much to a Jew. In Shoshem Hamishpat Shpat, that it says, if you send a messenger to collect money from an Akum and the Akum pays too much, the messenger can keep the difference. Fuck. But then if the messenger don't know shit about it, you keep it. Lost property of Christians must not be returned to them. A Jew may keep anything he finds which belongs to the Akum. For it is written, return to thy brethren what is lost. Deuteronomy 22 and 3. For he who returns lost property to Christian sins against the law by increasing the power of the transgressors of the law. It is praiseworthy, however, to return lost property if it is done to honor the name of God, namely, if by so doing Christians will praise the Jews and look upon them as honorable people. Lying motherfuckers. This is the one. A Jew may lie and perjure himself to condemn a Christian. That's right. In Baha Kama, our teaching is as follows. When a Jew and a Goy come into court, absolve the Jew, if you can, according to the laws of Israel. If the Goy wins, tell him that that is what our law requires. If, however, the Jew can be absolved according to the Gentile law, absolve him and say it is due to our law. If this cannot be done, proceed callously against the Goy, as Rabbi Ishmael advises. Rabbi Akiva, however, holds that you cannot act fraudulently lest you profane the name of God and have a Jew committed for perjury. Now, finally, this is very important. That says everything. That says everything. Jews must spare no means in fighting the tyrants who hold them in this form of captivity in order to set themselves free. They must fight Christians with astuteness and do nothing to prevent evil from happening to them. Their sick must not be cared for. Christian women in childbirth must not be helped, nor must they be saved when in danger of death. But you must always try to deceive Christians. In the Zohar it says, Rabbi Yehuda said to him, Rabbi Shekir, he is to be praised who is able to free himself from the enemies of Israel. And the just are much to be praised who get free from them and fight against them. Rabbi Shekir asked, how must we fight against them?
Listen, that was us saying.
That's it. Listen to me. Listen to me. See, he came, just, again, I love this crowd because we go right ahead. Time travel. Immediately to the front. Do not have pity for them. For it is said in Deuteronomy, show no mercy unto them. Therefore, if you see an Akum in difficulty or drowning, do not go to his help. And if he is in danger of death, do not save him from death. But it is not right to kill him by your own hand, by shoving him down into a well or in some other way, since what? You are not at war with us. Immediately. Lastly, what? Talmud commands that Christians are to be killed without mercy. In the Abdu'ah, Zara, it says, apostates are to be thrown in the well and not rescued. And in the Shosem Hamishat, it says the spy is to be killed even in our days, whenever he is found. He may be killed even before he confesses. And even if he admits that he only intended to do harm to somebody, and if the harm which he intended is not very great, it is sufficient to have condemned him to death. He must be warned, however, not to confess to this. But if he impudently says no, prudent consideration to wipe him from the face of the earth. Now, all of the people who like to kiss ass, what does it say? Including the best of them. So all of you all, who are there kissing ass and taking names, hoping to climb the social ladder, the people who now hold on to our information, the people who now have all of our particular credentials, everyone, all of them, right now, don't give a damn about you. Lastly, ladies and gentlemen, what was the 11th about? This is the movement at this present time. Look carefully at what it is that they're discussing, that you do not have the knowledge of it.
Kind of small from this
Emergency Earth Rescue Administration continue to save the environment, for a World Funding Corporation, for a World Commission on Terrorism, to protect life and nature on planet Earth and to create Global Ministry of Environment, for the World Hydrogen Energy System Authority, for the Earth Financial Credit Corporation, call for ratification of the Constitution for the Federation of Earth, together with a diagram of the world government, call to the provision for a world parliament. This may not mean something right now to you, but take a look at it. This is what's coming. The name of the book is En Route to Global Occupation. Preamble to the Constitution, Exhibit R3 reads like a page of a new age of punk era. It states that we are on the threshold of a new world order, a new age of peace and unity, where the interdependence of all life and oneness of humanity will finally be achieved. In closing, it submits that the greatest hope for the survival of life on Earth is the establishment of a democratic world government. Bullshit. The following excerpts from the articles reveal the comprehensive nature. Here is the point. Regulates, here it is, this is the Article 1, that the world government would regulate virtually every aspect of your life. Article 1, the world government would be all-encompassing. The information provided resembles the description of the beast's authority given in Revelation. Revealed that point 4 to 7 reveals the political administrative structure of the government. The world would be divided into 20 world electoral and administrative regions, or 10 Magna regions. Let's go back to your Magna Carta, people, and read. Point 8, the new political boundaries will not necessarily conform to existing national boundaries, meaning that nations will be split up. There's my favorite one. Point 2, may lead to the seizure of all personal weapons required for self-defense. Again, the Illuminati does all things according to ritual. If you don't believe that September 11th was a ritual, how about August 6, 1945, when the United States detonated an A-bomb on the civilian population of Japan? The date was 8/6/1945. Add them up, equals 33. The bomber was called the B-29. Add them up, it's 13. The Enola Gay had flown 12 previous missions. Hiroshima was going to be its 13th. It was to drop the bomb on Japan, which is located near the 33rd parallel. This was considered day 1 for the New Age by the Illuminati. 13 is very important to them. To see why they considered it was such, we have to look back a little, look back at their version of history. It was then conjectured that the date 1776, which was the Illuminati's first establishment of its toehold here in America, this is what they're saying, to the Masons, the Masons, the 13 bricks from the dollar seal represented 13 time periods of 13 years each. Listen carefully. 13 time periods of 13 years each. The 13 time periods of 13 years each equals 169 years. From July 4th, 1776 to July 4th, 1945 equals 169 years. 13 periods of 13 years each. Counting from July 4th, 1945 to August 6th, 1945, Hiroshima, at the time they bombed it, from July 4th, 1945 to August 6th, is 33 days. In fact, President John Kennedy was assassinated with wounds in the exact same spot as Hiram Abimelech. Hiram was hit where? In the back, in the throat, and in the head. Ritual or not? Dealey Plaza, where it took place, is just a few miles short of the 33rd parallel. Check this. The Cuban Missile Crisis lasted 13 days. The movie by Oliver Stone was called what? 13 days. Oh yes, 13 Warriors. There was an Apollo what? There is even a PG what? Moan. The movie, Any Given Sunday, did you see it? What was the number of the quarterback? What was the number of the receiver? 33. Then there was the explosion of the Apollo 13 spacecraft called the Aquarius. At precisely what? It was exploded at what time? 1:13 p.m. Now, who's in the military here? 13 hours. And it was done on what? April 13th. Here's one for you sports fans. As you know, Michael Jordan, like magic, was forced to retire. Check. At the time of his retirement, he had played how many seasons? 13 seasons. And the date was when he retired? January 13th. So you get January 13th. January 13th is the first month. Check. What? So, the first month, 13th, 1999. You count them up. 1 plus 1 plus 3 plus 1 plus 9 plus 9 plus 9 equals 33. Gore gave up the race for the presidency on the 13th day of December, which officially made Bush president on the 13th day. This was a change, of course. He wanted to change up the curse of Tecumseh. The number 7 3, 9, 11, 13, and 39, and any multiples thereof are sacred to the Illuminati. The Bilderbergers have a core membership of 39, broken into 3 groups of 13 in each group. The core of the 39 answers to the 13, who make up the policy committee. The 13 answers to the round table of 9. 39 is also the age selected for assassination.
Malcolm X. Malcolm, 39.
Go ahead. Make your effort. The United Nations, founded in when? 1945, is exactly 169 years, 13 periods of 13 years each. And everything about it is occult symbolism. If the year 1945 was considered the beginning of the new age for the Illuminati, then some calculations are in order to see where we are today. Listen carefully, beloved. I wish I had a blackboard, but I don't. So you have to go with this. 1945, if you can zoom in on this. I do a lot of writing, right? You should see all the pads I have. I almost have about 200-300 yellow pads. So I do. 1945 plus 13 equals 1958. 1958 plus 13 equals 1971. This is when they had the great battle in outer space. That's when there was a rock was about to hit the United States from outer space, and the Syrian Confederacy saved our asses. 1971 plus 3 equals what? 1984. 1984 plus 3 equals 1997. 1997 plus 13, I mean, these are all 13, equals 2010. So, beloved brothers and sisters, know that in 2010, the Illuminati planned, after 2003, a great, great attack. Now, you see me marking it. Now, what's the date today?
October 20th.
All right, October 20th, in the alleged year 2001. I told you that by 2010, something getting ready to happen. All right? So August 6, 2010 is slated for the next quantum experience for the people of this planet. JFK Jr. was also killed ritually in his plane, brought down close to the coordinates of North 41, the North N.41 parallel, West 0.71. So if you take 41 and 71 together, it creates 13. But check this. These coordinates, which are southwest of Martha's Vineyard, is also close to a small island called No Man's Land. No Man's Land is a word cipher for the word Mason. You know when we say No Man's Land, we're speaking about the Mason. To switch it around, M-A-S-O-N, No Man's Land. JFK was married to Carolyn on Cumberland Island off the coast of Georgia, close to the intersection of the North 31 Meridian and the West 81 Meridian. If you take them together, they create 13. Many of our government and media establishments choose letters or names that vibrate to the number frequency codes of 13 or 33. CBS, 2, 3, 19 equals 13, the higher Baruch. CNN, 3, 14, 4, 1, 4 equals 13. CIA, 3, 9, 1 equals 13. FBI, now you have to deal with the juxtaposing of mathematics, dealing with subtraction, addition, and multiplication. When you work them all together, they come out to 13. So you do your math on AOL. MI6, which is deep, because the MI6 is you count the MI, and then the 6, if you look at the MI6, is F, is 13 for Freemason. Now, WHO comes out to 13. The KGB comes out to 13, but the KGB does that one in reverse. NAFTA comes out to 13. United States of America comes out 13. The number 13 is also vibrated in the symbols of McDonald's, as I showed you. Also, the Mazda trucks. That's the 33-degree situation. The Mazda trucks have how many gallon tanks? 13-gallon tanks. The symbol of the goat is the sigil of Satan. In the pentagram up in the upper north, if you notice, as I showed you, the symbol of Satan the point for the pentagram goes right into the forehead of the beast. The fifth point extends down into the skull. The map of Washington is written up in a goat's head. That goat's head, the point, the fifth point of that pentagram, right at the tip, is the White House. Now the definition of a goat is a hollow horn remnant. If you look at the logo, I told you about the 666. We are now closing out. How much time we got, people? All right, XFL, NASA is equal to 33. HARP equals to 33. United Nations equals to 33. Both bombs dropped on Japan, of course, we're near the 33rd parallel. IBM equals 33. The XFL equals 33. United Kingdom is 33. Bill Clinton, the 42nd president, was born in Hope, Arkansas on the 33rd parallel. The Pope that was elected before John Paul was murdered on his 33rd day of his reign. I think the postage stamp today is what, 33 cents?
34.
34 now? It went up. In ritual killing, even so-called criminal messiahs are eliminated in ceremony. David Koresh was 33. So was Tim McVeigh. But he ain't dead. They didn't kill him. For what? He was part of the plan. And nobody showed his face. And when he was dead, somebody in there was looking at him and they showed him move. And he was pronounced dead. In the New Testament, it's alleged that there are 13 names for the Antichrist in the Old Testament. In the New Testament, and 33 names for the Antichrist in the New. 33 degrees of masonry is no mistake. It represents that vibration of atoms which is felt as a temperature. Understand that the 33rd degree is right above the 32nd degree, which is freezing. 32nd means that you are freezing. That's when they tell you that it's reached the freezing mark. When you are 33, it thaws. That's the heat of Kundalini. You go from freezing, which is ignorance, to knowing. In certain satanic Illuminati logos, the sun Lucifer as we see. You see it in the dole, pineapple. You see it in NBC. You see it in Shell. Here's one for you movie buffs. Stanley Kubrick was ritualistically killed on March 7th, 1999. What was his last flick? Eyes Wide Shut. Big time occult flick. It was released when? January 1st, 2001. When did he make it? March 7th, 1999. His last film was released January 1st, 2001, exactly 666 days after. The new Harry Potter movie. That's deep occult. Harry Potter, according to the sextagram that I showed you in the Mathematics of the Beast, where the A, B, C, D, E is broken down 6, 12, 18, rather than 1, 2, 3. The alphabet is by sixes. Now, what's Harry's middle initial?
J?
Is it Harry S. Potter or Harry J. Potter or something like that? It's J? It's S, isn't it? Okay, it's Harry S. Potter. 666. Do the Harry. Harry is 48. Harry is 48. 6, 108, 108, 150, which equals to 420. Potter is Potter, 96, 90, 120, 120, 30, 108, which equals to 564, which equals to 6. The S, Harry S. Potter, is equal to 6. As you see, I didn't get any further. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope by this catharsis and this movement and this energy that we shared today, that, oh, by the way, so much. Swordfish,
Right.
Moshad action. At the end, it told you who he was. A Moshad agent. Deception, trickery, using your shit, killing whoever you need to kill to get the objective done. You got a black woman here. The curse of Tecumseh is that any president who is inaugurated and takes office on a 0 year dies in office. Any questions very quick?
What about the gold that they didn't find, or did they find? At the World Trade.
World Trade, gone. They took that out of there a long time before that. I know the gold that they were taking out of the IT for people, that's something different. Because remember that the World Trade had jewelry centers and everything.
Right.
So they ain't allowing nobody down there. And you got to remember too, there was some information having to do with the fact that all of the Orishas numbers were 911. So that was a place where all of our ancestors were sold, slaughtered. So that right there is a serious portal of black energy. Yes. Yes. 94, right? Yes. Give thanks. Yes, brother. Yeah, I'm looking nuclear. Because they can't keep poisoning you and playing the anthrax. You're going to get numb to it just like you got numb to AIDS. But my queen sister, I would like her to stand up and talk about, for 1 minute, what's getting ready to go down. And the sister has some pictures of the children, the carnage that the bombing is doing to the children in Afghanistan. Yes, sister.
Basically, I just want to reiterate on the 31st. October 31st, this all the major drama that we're seeing is part astrologically due to Saturn Pluto opposition. And on October 31st, which also is the first year anniversary, Saturn and Pluto will be exactly 13 degrees. This day is extremely powerful. Most people in Latin America, they celebrate a day known as Los Dias de los Muertos, which is the day of the dead, the day of the ancestors. This day is also known as the day where the portals between the worlds open. It is extremely important that we are in a prayer mode on this day. There is an enormous amount of energy that will be gracing the planet on this day. We did a whole astrological explanation on it. If anybody wants more information, we have an email where you can...
The egg of your reality that is now expanding is about to hatch. That which is within the new cosmic egg, within your individual envelope, is hatching a whole new child of God, a whole new different template. And on the 31st, as Queen said, do the ritual, do the thought process. Stop, think for a moment. Take your symbols and your signs, and I know somebody got an art, could be any little tiny thing. You don't have to go out and make yourself an instrument. The tiny instrument you have can be amplified. Look at what the atom can do. So know that this is, you don't have to pick up a gun anymore. If you got one, all fine and dandy. Some motherfucker come through your door, blow his ass away. But know that the weapons and ideals and the somatic bodies of this time no longer have any value, no value, no worth where this whole universe is getting ready to go. Yes, sir. Quickly.
Researches that we do, dealing with bullshit, dealing with
First, I want to give it up to the Zuma Nation. Come on, everybody. One of the first group of brothers from Brother Africa on out that actually took the young brothers and brought them into a consciousness kind of guy that was so unique. Give it up to the brothers. Good. Yes, brother, what are you saying?
I want to find out, like, with the bullshit and all that's supposed to be coming down, and then we talk about with the Canary Islands, about the volcano that could explode and take 8 hours for us to get up off the East Coast.
Yes, sir.
And with the I Am America blast, where it's showing that there's 5 vortexes in the United States as well as throughout the world.
Yes.
You know, and with all this knowledge and certainty that we get, where do we go as a people? Do we stop moving towards where these vortexes are at?
No, sir. You move within. The vortexes are simply clearing shit. They're not putting you anything. They're moving shit out the way. Matter of fact, 12 black holes appeared in 1996, 97. Those days I was telling you about. Every one of those 13-year periods, another black hole is appearing. The whole universe, the black hole, what they call the melanated hole, or what I call dark matter consciousness, is pulling us out of the present vortex strain, the vortex path that we're on, and putting us into a whole new position, a whole new vector, a whole new dynamic point on the compass for us to receive information from galactic center, which is Sopredek, which is our mother center. And when that happens, all of this, like I said, it's the cleansing time. This is the time of the tyrants. It is coming to the surface. A few of us are being evacuated out of here right now because we've done what we had to do. But there are a few of us that's going to stay. And this is who you are. We got to stay here and just kind of allow shit to happen. You know what I'm saying? We can orchestrate people and say, okay, here's what's getting ready. Sidestep this shit. Make sure you're here. Make sure you're saying this at this time because this is happening. You have to help bring this paradigm in.
Let's have a big hand for the Reverend. Stay tuned for the next lecture.